whenever it decides to roll. I don't know
Right.
why it's always thinking. Let's go, let's go,
Mink, mink, mink.
let's go, let's go. So wow, let's go.
Big
I'm a,
game
I'm a,
tomorrow. Got the new hat for the game tomorrow. I'm ready.
I see,
I'm
I
ready.
see. Where is
Uh,
the intro music? Why isn't it? Why is it just?
'Cause,
It ain't even starting. It's just sitting there.
we're
It's
in one.
just rolling.
We're in section 138. What section
Oh, y'all
you
going
over?
tomorrow?
Yeah.
We damn, what are we? 220? Some shit like that. I
Okay.
can't
Yeah, you up on the club level?
I know y'all going to tailgate first.
I think so. My sister said something that they know somebody down there that's tailgating, so I need to get some details.
What time y'all getting there?
I'm
Because
trying
we
to get
probably
there
get
by
there at
12:30.
Oh, nigga, we be a couple hours in by the time you get there. We be a
Oh,
couple hours in
uh,
drinking and all that shit.
right.
We recording right now. I'm just waiting for this intro music to hit, and it ain't even. I'm because I
When's
can
this thing
edit
gonna
this.
go?
I can edit this out, and the shit ain't even. I don't know what's going on with the intro. It's always some. It's always something. Yeah,
It's
it's
all good.
always
Let's go
something.
ahead and proceed.
I'm gonna try it one more time.
I
Hold on, let
shall
me. I'm gonna try one more
proceed
time.
and
Let me hit it
continue
once more
with
and
what
see
you like.
if it'll
I
go.
shall proceed and continue with what you like.
Yes, it
I
don't even
wake up
wanna.
early after morning and early afternoon.
All right, well, you know what?
Riding
I'll
with
just hit our own.
pussy like
All things black
but
with
doom
Garland
doom
and
doom
Calvin presents
presents
Fanboys.
Fanboys.
Fanboys is
A
a
week
weekly. What is it? What is it? A
It's a
weekly.
weekly review of sports. Something.
From
Now bringing to you Garland and Calvin.
All Things Black presents Fanboys. Oh
Y'all.
man, I'm Calvin. The guy next to me is Garland, and
Yeah,
we are back. We're back. We tried to do it Friday, but we didn't do it Friday. Yeah, last time
didn't
y'all
work
heard
out.
from us, it was our little
Life was
NFL
life.
preview. But
Yep.
yeah, I mean, we here Saturday evening, so hopefully, we are live on YouTube. So if you want to see us on YouTube, you can do that. Otherwise,
You
you'll get
can.
us on all the podcast platforms. I'll try to put this out tonight before the games tomorrow, but we all getting ready for that big Ravens game. So, but
Trying to
I'll try to put
one
it
more
out there.
sleep and
So,
we up for the game. It's one more
one
sleep,
more sleep,
peoples.
one more sleep. What's going on, Garland? What's going on, sir?
Man, it's been a day, my friend. It's been a day. I'll share more in the come on yo, but it's been quite a day. It's been quite a I'm just glad we made it through the heat wave. Went down south for Memorial Day weekend. We had a great time and man had some great collard greens and some chopped pork and all the stuff you ain't supposed to eat and sweet tea and all those things. And then got back and life is life. And then so yeah, man, things are great. What about you?
Going all well, man. You talking about the heat wave? I'm glad we survived that storm last night. I woke up in the middle of the night and
Yeah,
that thunder was rolling. I thought I was at the
yeah,
symphony or something with that bass, boom, 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 just
yeah. It
rolling
was
everywhere.
crazy.
There are
Yeah, as a
storms
matter of
going
fact,
up and
I
down
went
the
out to
East
get some.
Coast.
Yeah, I went out to get some Cold Stone with my wife, and we were on our way back and broke out. Man, was like I thought I saw a little arc passing in front of us and stuff. So yeah, it was a little crazy and stuff. But yeah, man, just thankful, man. And Cold Stone Creamery, if you want to sponsor a shout out, coffee lovers and the Love It Cup.
Yeah, I mean, anytime anybody wants. I haven't been to Cold Stone in a while though. Cold
You
Stone
need to get
used to
there,
be my
brother.
shit. I haven't been there in a minute.
Good eats.
Jeez.
Good
I
eats.
so the wife we go to shoot we have it's called Jupiter's and they have Taharka Brothers
Oh,
ice
okay.
cream. Shout out to Taharka.
Yeah,
Taharka
yeah.
is
Tahaka Brothers.
black owned
Tahaka
here in
Brothers.
Baltimore City. Yeah, but it's called Jupiter's. It's down there off of Smith Avenue by the
Oh,
Wegmans.
okay.
I'm sorry, by the Whole Foods, not the Wegmans, by the
Mm-hmm.
Whole Foods
Well, Whole
off of Falls
Foods.
Road. So
Yeah, I'm gonna get a little bit more bougie. Normally, there's a couple of creameries up here that we go to. It's a couple of farms out in Harford County, and so there's a place that we love in Havre Grace called Bomb Boys. It's fantastic. They make candy and ice cream. If you ever get a chance to go there, it's great. And there's a place called Broom's Dairy. It is not too far from us as well. They make their own ice cream, and they have a little restaurant there on the grounds of the farm. It's real nice.
we out here sounding like Baby D or Friday.
Right.
Garland and Calvin know where all the good ice cream is. They know that shit right before it
Right.
come out. They be like, dude, what his name? What was his name? Dude, whatever his name was. Yo, the ice cream got this new ice cream coming out. When you bite it, it be glitter and shit all in your mouth. Anyway, man, what we got going on today? I can't be messing with you all night long.
We're gonna talk your boy Subprime Sanders 2-0, baby. Gonna talk a little Caleb Williams' daddy. He out here talking about his son could stay in college. So Caleb daddy, he capping and gonna talk about that. Of course, football is back, and so NFL opened up on Thursday. A couple people got a bag. Nick Bosa and Joe Burrow got a bag. There's some holdouts that's still affecting people. Sean Payton, boy, he more deadly than KRS-One. He out here dissing his own quarterback. And then we're going to talk about our O's and what's going on with them as they head to the playoffs. We're going to talk about BS High, the HBO documentary that everybody's been talking about. And then we'll close with some Come On Yo. And so let's go ahead and jump into it. So Prop Sanders, he has Colorado at 2-0. And so Sanders, he has the 22nd ranked Buffalo smack dab in the center of the college football universe, beating then number 17 TCU. And today they put the smash on Nebraska. After the game, the fans rushed the field like they won the national championship. And so people are happy in Boulder. Dion is taking names in the press conferences and everything. And so odd makers, they have adjusted Colorado's win total from 3.5 at the beginning of the season to 5.5, one shy or a half win shy of bowl eligibility. And so do you think Colorado is going to play in the bowl this year?
Well, first of all, let's we need to start from the beginning because you're right. Dion is taking names, and he need to take your name because number one, you still calling them subprime. You still calling them subprime. That's number one. Number two, when Dion left Jackson State, you was just, and then you gonna go to Colorado. You ain't even gonna be all that good. I remember all of this vividly. Bro, so in the words of Deion Sanders, do you believe now? No, I got receipts. I'm talking to you, Garland. Do you believe now? Bro, man,
I knew you was gonna say this.
Because you've been hard on Deion, bro.
You know what?
You've been hard on Deion.
And I listened to a couple of the old episodes of Fanboys, and you can do it.
Okay. And what'd you say?
What I said, I held Deion to task for how he left Jackson State. This whole thing of God sent him, the stuff that he did after. But I never said that I didn't want him to win. I never said I did not want him to be successful.
Hold on. I didn't say you said you didn't want him to be successful. Okay. What I recall is you didn't think he would be successful. I didn't say you were rooting against him.
I never said that.
All I'm saying is the Deion Sanders hate. The Deion Sanders hate was real large inside of you. The force was large inside of me. Bro, hey man,
I hated the way that he left Jackson State. I hated the stuff that he was saying afterwards. And I still want to hold him to task for that. But I did not. I think I even said that he had to take a job. And the job was there. He took it. That's why he went to Jackson State to get to a Power 5 conference. He did it. He achieved his goal. And I wish him the best. I don't want to see the brother struggle. I want to see him succeed. I want to see Shador succeed. I want to see Travis Hunter succeed. I just didn't like the whole messy thing with the leaving the Jackson and telling people to get in the portal and not to get in the portal and all this other stuff, and then talking about and Boulder is safer and all this, that, and the other. I just thought it
Let
was.
me let
I
me
just
make
thought it was
sure
off.
let me go because I know you went back for the podcast, but let me go back to my text messages that day. I said,
I gotta go back to that.
how long did you want him to stay at Jackson State? And I believe you said 10 years.
Forever.
10, 10 years.
Did I
Hey
say
man, but to
if you
go
find it posted? If you find it posted, I did not say no daggone 10 years.
you
I knew
said
he wasn't
10
gonna be
years.
there no 10
Cause I
years.
even after you said 10 years, I sent you a you crazy emoji. Like, what?
No, I ain't never said no
10
10
years.
years.
10
I will
years, you
say
said.
this. I will say this on Dion. Yes, I knew he was not a lifer for the HBCU. I knew he was not going to be no Eddie Robinson. I knew that. Do I think and I've said this, and somebody said I was wrong, but I'm right. We're really not going to be able to evaluate the impact of what Dion did at Jackson State, at least until another season. Because we need to see the people that he recruited, that he told them don't get into the portal. We need to see how they do in the next season or two.
I'm okay. Let me start by answering your question. First of all, Dion has
There was
made
a
me
question.
he has made me a believer, and I think he has definitely done some things. Now, I was worried because you could TCU wasn't prepared because generally your first few games are kind of like the homecoming victims. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
scheduling team and TCU coming off a national championship game, you're scheduling
Where
teams
they
that
got
you
mops.
figure you can beat. Yeah, and Colorado had
Mm-hmm.
what one win last season. So I'm
Yeah.
sure when they scheduled that game, they
Mm-hmm.
figured they could beat them.
Yeah.
So I was worried about that. And then going into playing Nebraska, I was really worried about
Nebraska's
this
been
game
terrible.
because
Mm-hmm.
but I said to myself, I was like, Nebraska might be ready for them now. And
Mm-hmm.
Nebraska, if you watch the game, which by the way, Dion has me watching 4 college football games because I'm not
Right, because you
a
wasn't doing
huge
that last
college
season.
football fan.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I watch certain games sporadically here and there,
Right.
but I was into this game. And the first half, Nebraska was actually in there. Then all of a sudden Colorado took off. But I was happy that he won the second game. And the Nebraska fans filled up that stadium. I tell you why the Colorado fans ran on the field. It wasn't because they thought they won like the national championship. It was because them tickets were over $1,000, and if you weren't a student and you didn't get them tickets early, you goddamn right. If I'm paying $1,000, $1,500, I need to be part of that field. I'm getting right up on that. He lucky I didn't run down there and hold right next to Dion when they was calling the plays or be in the coach's huddle when they give the tablet to Shakur. I'll be
Right,
right
right.
down there and
You be
look at
having the
you like,
tablet.
yeah, right. Hey man, I hope he keeps the momentum up. Now, let me address real quick when you said we won't see the impact of the HBCU. One of the impacts that we probably aren't thinking about is how they may start now looking at really
Mm-hmm.
good HBCU coaches. One of the things that we've always said is these guys succeed in the HBCU, but they never get the chance to go to that next level, to the top schools in the next level.
Right. Right.
This may be one of them instances where these schools are now starting to look and say, you know what? Maybe we should give these guys a legitimate shot. Or maybe when these gentlemen, these young men jump in the transfer portal, maybe we should give them a good look. Because I mean, you got to admit,
True.
man, Dion is
True.
bringing these guys with him, and he told the guys that were there. He told them day one, some of y'all might need to jump into this transfer portal right now because you ain't gonna be here. Ain't no need
True.
in even going through this. So I think his impact, we may start seeing some of that beginning next year, and that's with the transfer portal and maybe looking at some coaches and
Mm-hmm.
assistants to move on up.
We'll see. We'll see. I think that, surely if Dion makes a bowl this year, they're going to try to change the transfer portal rules because they ain't going to let a black man get away with
Would
it.
you,
They
when
ain't
the
going to let a
rules
black
gonna
man get
start
away with it.
changing again?
The rules going to start changing again. Okay. I mean, although, Alabama and Georgia and these other schools have been doing it, they didn't do it the way that Dion just did it. I mean, he basically remade the whole roster. He had 60 transfers come in. Alabama doesn't need to do that. Georgia doesn't need to do that.
Right,
Your
right.
top teams, because they already have a foundation of players. They basically, they have their pick of the litter. Dion did not. But hey, if he's successful, trust me, they're going to come back and say, I think this transfer portal thing is a little bit too much, and they're going, just like when Kareem came into college basketball as Lou Arcenda, and they outlawed the dunk, so he had to create the sky hook. They're gonna
Mm-hmm.
find a way. They're gonna find a way. They'll find a
I
way.
mean,
So
Dion got Michael Irvin on the side wearing Colorado t-shirts.
yeah,
That's
bro,
blasphemous to the
we
U.
about to see
I,
Colorado stuff in the hood.
listen, I was online looking for some stuff. Like I ain't gonna
Hmm.
lie,
I'm
I want
telling
to
you,
get some
somebody
stuff.
gonna be on Pennsylvania Avenue selling it right in front of Lexington Market. Give it some time.
So somewhere Cordell Stewart was like, "Yes." Oh, let me stop. Let me stop.
You out of order. You out of order. Yo, that's
you
Calvin.
know, Cordell Stewart.
Yeah. So I think that their schedule gets a little tougher after next week's game. They got Colorado State, and then they got USC. They got
Yeah, then they
Oregon.
start
They got
playing them
some. Yeah,
division
they
games.
start
Yeah,
playing it. Yeah, and so it gets a
yeah.
little bit rougher and all. But hey, great start. Great start for Dion. And I wish them the best, despite what Calvin said. I said. All right, Caleb Daddy. He says his son could stay in college, and so Carl Williams, the father of USC quarterback and reigning Heisman Trophy winner Caleb Williams, said recently in a GQ interview that a return to the Trojans in 2024 could very well be on the table for his son if the draft pecking order threatens to put him in an unfavorable situation. Dad says, and this is a quote, the funky thing about the NFL draft process is he'd almost better off not being drafted than being drafted first. And so is Williams' daddy capping, or is it best for his son to wait a year for another year of and play another year of college and try to come out the following year to see what team is there?
Let's see. Uh, Todd Marinovich's daddy.
Yeah,
Archie Manning,
yeah,
just in line with other fathers that have looked
yeah.
and been like,
Mm-hmm. They
I
definitely
think
in this
his
league.
biggest thing is you're looking at because of course the word is the Cardinals are tanking for him.
They are.
And you're looking
Mm-hmm.
at the Cardinals roster and you're not really seeing anyone there, and you don't want your son going to a team that probably is
You
not
don't
going to
want them to
go
throw to
anywhere.
Hollywood.
Yeah, Hollywood may not even be there.
Stricken Street Brown.
They may end up trading her. You know what? I wouldn't it wouldn't be beyond Kansas City to make a trade for Hollywood Brown because
Ooh,
they have no one there. I
that might
mean,
be
we
a
saw
good
that.
little combination right there.
Yeah, we saw that. And I'm sure we'll talk more about the Chiefs later.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, man, I don't, it's one of them things where you're just like, oh, you should just be happy he has the opportunity and this and that. Yeah, but we're in a time now where the NIL deals are there. You don't necessarily have to come out. So you want your son to come out to the best situation, and I'm sure as a player, he wants to come out to the best situation possible. And it just may not be Arizona. Now, it's different from being John Elway and being like, I will never play for the Baltimore Colts. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's forever fuck
Definitely.
John Elway anyway.
Yes.
But
Forever.
yeah, I don't necessarily see anything wrong with it. It's kind of arrogant, but to the victor goes
Mm-hmm.
the spoils. And if Caleb is still going to be the top prospect, then yeah, do what you do. Let your father be your mouthpiece and
Sure.
do what you do.
I would say maybe his dad doesn't understand that every year the worst team gets to pick first. And so it's not like his son is going to go to a top team. I understand he's trying to maneuver it and everything. And, Caleb is one of maybe a small handful of college players that have national uh, advertising. He's the face
Yeah.
of Wendy's for this football season. He's been, he's doing the national campaign for Wendy's and everything. And so, yeah, he has some money where he can, all right, I'm not in a rush to get there. The only thing I'm concerned about is injury. Poor performance. You never know what to happen in the season or two. Say he does decide to go back and tears an ACL or he
Right,
has
right.
a rotator cuff injury, that impacts his draft value. I think, you have to go to a team that's bad. That's just the way that the NFL is designed. You don't go
Well,
even Eli Manning when his father manipulated the thing between the
right
Chargers
between the
and the Giants,
Chargers and the Giants.
and
Yeah,
the Giants were still bad. The
yeah.
Giants were picking fifth, and I think the Chargers was picking second or
But
third,
I,
and
I
so
think
it
it's one.
wasn't
I
like
think
he
it's
really boosted himself.
Yeah, but I think it's one of them things where if a team is literally tanking for you, you kind of question the integrity of the team. And this is just my opinion. Of course, his father didn't say anything like that.
Yeah,
Now, you could be like Steve Francis and not be happy that you're drafted by the Memphis Grizzlies and all
true.
of a sudden find yourself on the Houston Rockets. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like there's
that's
there's
true.
ways to
That's
get
true.
out of it.
There's
Any
ways. There's
any
ways.
agent worth his salt will figure out a way
Elway, he
to
wasn't happy with coming to Baltimore. He ended up on the Denver Broncos.
exactly. So it's
Yeah.
any agent worth his salt will find a way to keep Caleb from going back to college, but try to negotiate something with the team. You know what I mean? And you
Sure.
just never know. Maybe they just don't like Arizona. It could just be
Could be.
we don't like Phoenix. We don't like Phoenix,
By the
Arizona at
time
all.
I
It
get
could be
to
something that
Arizona.
simple.
True. It could be. All right, so let's go ahead and talk a little NFL. Football is back, and so on Thursday night, the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs were upset by the. I don't think it was an upset, but they lost to the Detroit Lions 21-20 in the opening game of the 2023 NFL season. I'm not sure if that was in the script. I like that commercial; it's very cute. But most people had picked the Chiefs to win that game, but the loss of Travis Kelsey changed that. In addition, they also have Chris Jones, who's holding out, although he was sitting at the game last night, which was to me is very dangerous because he couldn't have done that in Baltimore. They would have found where he was,
Exactly.
and they would have been throwing stuff.
What is
Yeah,
that?
well, I don't know what that was. And so he's at the game, but anyway, and so very good game. The Lions look good. They pick up where they left off last season. They play well down the stretch. It just came down to a thing of yes, you got Patrick Mahomes, but you didn't have any Kelsey, and that was it. That I think Travis Kelsey covered a multitude of sins, and you had some people who can catch the ball last year, and so I don't know if they got any running backs that you would even depend on enough to run the ball to make teams play honest. And so, what is the impact of Travis Kelsey's injury on the Chiefs' chances to repeat?
Yeah, so clearly they had no one that could hold on to the ball.
Right.
So now you go back to what everyone was thinking last season, that the Chiefs would take a step back because they lost Tyreek Hill. In a situation where you don't have Kelsey, and of course you don't have a Tyreek Hill, and you never really replaced him. You also lost Juju Smith-Schuster, who had good hands. He wasn't going to break anything for 20, 30 yards, but he could come across that middle and hold on to that ball. They don't have anyone with good hands, or it didn't work out Thursday night. I
Right.
believe Kadarius Toney is a much better player than what he showed
He didn't
Thursday
show it.
night. And you can only be judged by your last game, and one reception for negative yards or 1 yard was his final stat because he lost some yards on a end around they tried to do. And it wasn't even the interception. The interception was in his hand, and he dropped it and went straight to the defender, which it happens. It happens to every receiver in the NFL at one point or another. The part that got him was when he had the chance to redeem himself in the last drive and catch that ball to put him in field goal range, and he dropped it. That's the one that killed him. He could have been forgiven for all them previous receiver sins. Yeah, man. They needed a Travis Kelsey. Noah Gray, he's just not the guy with the separation.
Sky
Bell is
Moore.
just not the guy that can get open. Travis Kelsey means more to Patrick Mahomes than anyone could ever imagine. And when they talked about it, we never really noticed it because Travis Kelsey has always been there. He's only missed one game due to COVID, and then he missed like a couple games when they had already had spots clinched, so they just didn't let him play. But he's never missed a game due to injury. Never missed a game. and this one really exposed the Chiefs, and he has to come back. But now, if you're any team, all you're going to do is double and triple team Kelsey, and then take your chances with everyone else. They're gonna have to
Pretty
prove it
much.
to you. They're gonna have to prove it to you.
Pretty much. Yeah, I think they would be a
I don't
candidate.
know if you
I'm not
triple teaming them, but you doing
right.
double team.
Yeah, I wouldn't watch them out to the playoffs. I mean, I think they're still a playoff team,
Yeah, it's just one loss.
and all. It's just one loss, but yeah, you definitely going to need Kelsey back. I think that's a bigger impact than Chris Jones, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But I want the offensive coordinator for the Lions, Jameer Gibbs. You were talking all this stuff about Jameer and how you were going to use him, and I wound up drafting him in fantasy because everybody was saying yes, this was going to be hot. Oh, Jameer's going to do. We're going to use him in different ways nobody's seen, and he only got 8 points last on Thursday night, and
Yeah,
you
man, but he
you
was
wouldn't
averaging
run him.
6 yards. He was
Yeah,
averaging six
that's what
yards
I'm
a carry.
saying. He
He was
he was
averaging
doing his
six.
thing. Give the man the rock, sir. Give the man
But
the
you,
rock, sir.
well, be mad at Jameer Gibbs because he had a clear touchdown, but he
He
tripped over
did
his
it. He
own
kind of
feet.
he stumbled on
So
it. He was about to score. I was like, yeah. Then he
he
fell
was
down.
he was on his way. But no, man. So when you're it's not like Baltimore tomorrow playing the Texans, and you never want to overlook an opponent. But if you're playing what you believe is a lesser opponent, you could probably give him a little more time. But you're playing the defending Super Bowl champions. You got to give a guy like David
First game as a
Montgomery. Yeah,
rookie.
you got to give him, and you got to give the veteran. You worry about fumbles, you worry about nervousness, so you got to give
Sure.
the vet the chance to get in there and show off. And he was solid. The vet was solid in there.
Right.
He
You
didn't
must have
he didn't
Montgomery
do a
on one of
lot,
your
but he was
fantasy
solid.
teams.
I don't actually. I don't, and I would have never picked him
Right.
because I had him when he was with Chicago last year, and all he is a solid back.
Right.
He's not an explosive back. He's not going to get you double digit points. And this is fantasy talk. He's not going to get you double digit points week in and week out. Maybe once in a while, he's going to
Mhm.
average somewhere around 6 or 7 points without touchdown. Now he caught a touchdown. He got a touchdown this
Yeah.
Thursday
Nice
night,
run.
so his
Hmm.
points upped up. But yeah, you could see in the game, and that was again, that wasn't even his touchdown. That was Jameer's touchdown. That should have been
Yeah.
Jameer's touchdown. So
Exactly. Nick Bosa and Joe Burrow, they got a bag last week. Well, this week actually. Bosa, he agreed to a 5-year, $170 million extension with the Niners, including a 122.5 million guaranteed. That makes him the highest paid defensive player in league history. And then that next day, Joe Burrow, he reached an agreement on a 5-year, $275 million extension with the Bengals. That includes a $219 million guarantee, making him the highest paid player in NFL history. And the contract averages $55 million per year. So is this money well spent?
yeah, I mean, of course, Joe Barrow. Joe Barrow has taken that team from the dungeon to the Super Bowl. You got to give him his money. There's just, and we all knew what was going to happen. He waited for everybody else to sign, everybody else that would be considered in his category to sign, and he just went ahead and showed them, what was really up. Of course, the only person you would worry about making more than him now is Patrick Mahomes, but Patrick already signed his $400 million 10-year deal. So,
Right.
but now, and of course, Bosa is now, I believe, the highest paid MAGA supporter in the world right now. So,
Right.
yeah, his brother just
Next,
signed. I think his brother is the second highest paid MAGA supporter in the world.
how about Mac
So
Jones? Next to Mac Jones, Insurrection Jones. That's what
yeah,
they
but
call him, Resurrection Jones.
Mac Jones don't make as much money as the Bosas. I mean, the
Oh no,
Bosas.
he's the third highest.
Yeah, because the Bosas they could probably they probably funded the insurrection, or they could now fund the insurrection on their own. So
They might not want to. Dude just got 22 years, but of course it was the brother who got 22
they were
years.
just they were just they were just visiting the Capitol. That's
Now
all it
Mac
was.
Jones had his feet up on Nancy Pelosi's desk, and he didn't get any
It was
time.
not. That was not Mac
That
Jones.
was Mac Jones. I keep on telling you it was Mac
I told you it looked more
Jones.
like Brett Favre than Mac Jones.
All right. It was one of them. Man, Sean Payton, he is He out here dissing Russ, man. Now, according to Seth Wickersham, story on ESPN, New Broncos head coach Sean Payton told Russell Wilson to salvage his career, he needed to focus less on Russell Incorporated. Will you stop kissing all the effing babies? You're not running for public office. And so, as a past, Super Bowl champion, Walter Payton, Man of the Year, and 9-time Pro Bowler, should Wilson be offended by this, or is Payton right?
Um, Sean Payton is also a past Super Bowl winner.
He cheated, though, Bounty Gate.
That wasn't the Super Bowl year. That was the year after, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You might be right. Bounty
Gate.
And that was Sean Payton was just in the room when it happened. I think that's how they say he was just in the room. But no, I mean Russell should not be offended. Like I would be offended if I had an average year. Russell Wilson had the worst year of not just his career, but pretty much of any NFL quarterback last year. He shouldn't be offended. He should be like, you know what? You right, Sean. You right. And if Sierra's any type of wife, she'd be like, you know, Sean was right. You know, Sean was right. And Lil Future probably be like, stepdaddy, he right. He right. I wish you could be my real daddy, stepdaddy. Future somewhere like, you can have him. I thought Auto 2 was dead, but I guess not with Future.
I would be offended. If I was Wilson, I would be a little bit offended. I mean, because
how bad was Russell Wilson last year?
This guy, okay, 1 year. I mean, this guy was an MVP candidate just a couple of seasons ago. The season before he was traded to Denver. This guy was an MVP, a perennial MVP candidate, Calvin. I mean, he was the black Fran Tarkenton. He was running around, making plays, throwing the ball all these ways, winning big games. And he's been nothing but value added. He just had a bad season. The team was terrible last year. The coach
didn't just have a bad season. He had a horrible season.
The head coach was horrible. The head coach was horrible. They didn't have any offensive line. I mean, the offensive line was so bad that the year before Joe Flacco was there, and Joe Flacco just quit. Joe Flacco just threw down the ball because he was getting tackled so much.
Joe Flacco said, "Why we punting it? We only got 3 wins. We might as well go for it all the time." The fuck?
Joe Flacco got hit so much. They had to let him go on an injury settlement because his neck was all jacked up.
Joe said, I ain't used to this bullshit.
He said, F this. He just threw the ball at the ground and walked off.
Yo, but Russell had a horrible season. Now, here's the thing. Here's why Russell doesn't need to be offended. That direct deposit showed up on time. Remember, Russell Wilson was the second or third highest paid player last season. Yo, why are you offended that Sean Payton just took you to task with words?
If I'm the leader of your team, let's talk about.
Are you though? Office. But are you?
He is because he makes the most money. That automatically makes him the leader.
But he didn't play like the leader.
That makes you the leader.
He ain't play like the leader.
Yeah, because the team was sucky. It was not necessarily him.
You saying he was LeBron James? LeBron James. He was not.
This. I would rather, Coach. Why are you saying this in the interview? Let's talk man to man, 1-on-1. I mean, you only won 1 Super Bowl. I mean, you've been running your mouth like you basically was
You also only won 1 Super Bowl. You threw the interception at the 1-yard line in your second Super Bowl. What are you doing?
I agree. That was Pete Carroll. But I will say this.
Pete Carroll ain't throw it. Pete Carroll just called the play.
Carroll called the play. He shouldn't have never called a pass.
Then why didn't you call it audible, Russell? Why did you call it audible?
Because he's a company man. And see, that's the thing. Russell's a company man. Why would you do a company man like that?
Because you gotta make an example out of somebody. Javonte Williams is coming back from injury. He ain't gonna respect you until you tell Russell, shut the fuck. Jerry Judy and Cortland Sutton ain't gonna respect you until you tell Russell, shut the fuck up, Russell. Matter of fact, if I'm Sean Payton, I'm telling him Sierra and Lil Future can't come up here no more until we get 7 wins. Once we get 7 wins, they're more than welcome to hit the field. Until then, to the stands they go.
Yeah, that to me, yeah, he could have said that differently and said that thing. He out here dissing the only player they got on that roster. Anyway.
He ain't even the player on their roster.
All right, keep on playing. He gonna go ahead and get rid of Russ. He gonna try to find another quarterback. They think they can just pick him off a tree. I'll let you know. Hey, but then again, Shador, he's in Colorado. Go ahead and maneuver yourself so you can get Shador, and then that means you got to hire Dion.
He don't want Dion because Dion going to take his job. Dion going to be like, you need to put me on the staff, right, brother.
Dion will be like, God sent me to get this job. Dion, he'll put God in it in a minute.
Dion be like, I'm standing 8 toes down on this one.
You know what? It's crazy. I hadn't heard a lot of God talk from Dion. That's it. When Dion was with the blacks, he was talking a whole bunch of Jesus and God. But now he with the whites. I don't hear nothing about no Jesus and God.
There you go, y'all. There you go, y'all. See, he can't hold it in. He trying to hold it in, but that Dion hate just be seeping out of it. We talked about Dion 3 segments ago. He trying to hold it in. He can't. It just keeps seeping out on him.
Bro, it ain't hate. I just really recognize that. Dion, when he was with the blacks, he had a lot of God talk.
He not lifting every voice. He not lifting every voice in Colorado.
He ain't lifting Jesus higher in Colorado. I don't hear him with no God. No God. He ain't talking about God sent him there, and all this stuff. Anyway, let's go on. You're right. All right, let's talk a little baseball, y'all. Let's talk a little baseball. Talk about the Road Warriors, the Orioles. They're currently on a 9-game road trip, which is taking them to Arizona, Anaheim, and Boston. They won 2,
which they've already won the road trip. They've already because they're 6-3. They're 6-1 right now on the road trip.
Right. They won 2 or 3 in Atlanta. They swept the Otani Los Angels, and they opened a 3-game set last night with an 11-2 win. And so, despite a 9-2 record over the last 11 games, they've only picked up a full game on the Rays, who they face in Camden Yards later in the month in the 4-game series.
Next week.
It's likely going to determine the winner of the AL East. And if the season ended today, the Orioles would be the number 1 seed with a bye, and they would play the winner of the Mariners-Rays series if they finished first in the AL East and with the number 1 seed in the American League. And so how confident are you that the O's will win the division?
Oh, I'm sorry.
The Rays ain't stopped playing. The
Rays have not stopped playing.
They have not stopped playing. They've won 2 already against the Mariners, and they're keeping their foot on the pedal.
That loss, that 1-0 loss to the Blue Jays, may actually do the Rays in for the division, because that took the Orioles up 4 games. Now the Orioles, if they, the reason I said they've already won the road series is because the worst they can finish in this 9-game stretch is 6-3. The last 9-game stretch road series they went on, they finished 6-3. So that's a huge deal for them. For the, I believe it's 6 games, 2 against the Cardinals, and then they got 4 against the Rays. So if they can go into this Rays series at home, at least up 4.5 to 5 games, it's going to be really hard for the Rays to catch up unless the Orioles just completely collapse. But I'm really confident that they're going to win the division because they have just been playing good baseball, and they're playing good baseball on the road, not just at home. Exactly. They're playing good. And we were all nervous about losing fit, and they've still won games. So yeah, man, listen, like I've been telling people, hey, watch out for my O's. Watch out. The bandwagon is officially closed now, but hopefully you got on before the doors shut. But yeah, we can't have you on now. Road to 100, Garland. What I tell you, 100
You did.
wins. Road to
You told
road
me.
to 100.
Yeah,
Road to
yeah.
100. I think you gave them 85, 88 wins, which they've already surpassed, which was still a good number. Now, I ain't dissing you because that's still a good number. Clearly, it's a good number, but
That was a
road to
realistic
100, sir.
number. I mean, with
Yeah,
what
it
they
was
had ahead of
absolutely.
them.
They're playing well above. They're playing well. When I even threw out the number, that was just
Right.
wishful thinking, hoping that they would do what they're doing, which is playing well
Hmm.
above the expectation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, man,
They've
I'm confident
basically
that
they've manhandled the American League East. I mean, and I think
yeah,
that's
yeah.
why they are going to get these 100 wins. I mean, they won the
Even
division
even
series
with
over the Yankees.
it, if they get swept by the Rays and somehow they
Hmm.
end up tied, they still have the tiebreaker over the Rays. So they
Okay.
really handled their business in the
Yeah.
division. And that's the most important thing. Now, of course, I think we talked about this last year. I remember mentioning that because they're starting to even things out, they're getting less games with their own division and more games throughout the league with National League
Hmm.
teams. That's really going to help them because they don't have to keep playing Boston and Toronto and the
Right.
Yankees.
Right.
And as you can see, it
More
has
balanced schedule.
really helped them. Really, really helped them. I think they're the beneficiary of that change in scheduling.
Good. And so, with the return of John Means this weekend, the Orioles have a pitching quandary. The team has been using a six-man rotation over the last month and some change, and it's been very beneficial for the young starters. And with the return of Means, do you place him in the bullpen or in the starting rotation? And what is your rotation for a 3 or 5 game series? And so, let's go with the first question. What do you do with Means? Do you go ahead and start him, or do you put him in the bullpen?
It's really tough because you don't want to hurt the chemistry that the team already has. So that's
Sure, sure.
always in the forefront of your mind. However, Means is a veteran. He's been chomping at the bit to get back up here. And he was the ace, and you want him back up here. You got to at least give him one start. You got to put him in the starting rotation, but you have to do it now. You can't wait until the playoffs come. You got to do it now
Yeah,
just in case you have
gotta
to
pitch
pull
him.
him. But you got
Gotta
to do
pitch
it
him.
now.
I agree with that. I mean, he comes back as your number one. I mean, outside of
Ooh,
Grayson, and yeah,
ooh,
I mean Grayson's been
ooh.
good. But after Grayson, I mean the others are kind of like, I mean, he
Tyler
basically
Wells is
comes back at your
didn't
one
Tyler
or your
Wells pitch
two.
last night? Tyler
Tyler
Wells is
Wells has
done.
been well. Dean Kramer's done well. Gibson, um, but Grayson has been doing excellent. But
Yeah,
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 I mean,
absolutely.
he comes back as if he's not your one, he's definitely your two. Means coming back, so you got to put him in there, and that just means more work for your bullpen. And to me, that used to be the strength of the Orioles. It gets a little shaky a little bit sometimes. You get a little worried in the middle innings and all, but
A
you know,
little.
um, yeah, it gets a little shaky. It gets a little shaky, and so we'll see what happens with Mean. But I think you put him. I agree. You put him in the starting rotation somewhere, and you work him, and you see how you look when you get to the playoffs. And so, with the rotation, who would be your starting three
um,
for a playoff?
so for me, it's definitely going to be the combination of Grayson, Wells, and Means.
Okay.
Pending Means does his thing towards the end of this season. So that's going to be your starting three. Now the question: do you want to go with the 4 or 5 man rotation going into the playoffs? What do you think?
I think you go with a 3 man. I think you shorten
Three
it up
man?
because
Okay.
because your number one is probably if you go 4 games, you want your number one to pitch twice. And so
Okay.
in a series, especially a 3 or 5 game, probably you're not going to get your number one in a three 2 times in a three. But in a
Okay.
5 game, you're gonna, if you have to go five, you'll get your number one twice. And so you
Okay.
want
Makes sense.
you want your number one pitching at least twice in a
You,
series.
you're not concerned with them not doing that throughout the season and him getting less rest during the playoffs?
Yeah, they would be on a 3 game rest, and Yeah, it would be a concern, but I think at that point, you just got to be ready. This is it, and so you got to
Yeah.
give your person the ball. You got to give your best pitcher the ball. You don't want to stretch it out to four, and then because like, all right, say if you went four, that would be Memes, Rodriguez, Wells, and would it be Gibson? Would it be Dean Kramer? Um, would it be Cole Irving? I I don't think so. you know, I would love them in long relief if I needed them, as opposed to starting. And so,
Okay.
yeah. So I think that's where we are. All right, man. Let's talk about something that people have been talking about for the last couple of weeks. BS High. Now, last month, HBO they premiered a sports documentary entitled BS High that tells the backstory of the founder of a fake prep school, Bishop Sycamore High School, and how he scammed his way into playing a nationally televised football game with his team on ESPN. Now, on August 29th of 2021, uh, a nationally televised high school game between the top ranked prep academy in the country, IMG, against a unknown Bishop Sycamore High School ended with multiple injuries and a blowout win for IMG Academy. The on-field fiasco ignited a media circus with fans in the audience, people that were watching, beginning to question the legitimacy of the Bishop Sycamore program and his head coach, Roy Johnson. And so, as the announcers, even as they were calling the game, they started like, "We've never heard of Bishop Sycamore. We don't know who Bishop Sycamore was." And as the game got worse, it became more apparent that this might be a hoax. And so we're not going to go deep into the documentary. I would recommend that you watch it. It is outstanding. It's only an hour. I think it is an hour and
It's
some
about an
change.
hour
And
and a
so
half, I think. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
about an
Hour
hour
and
and a
change.
half. And so it's not multiple episodes and everything, so you can do it in one sitting. But one of the things that was apparent from this, Calvin, was the monetizing of high school sports. And uh, you have this model of schools now trying to be like the who was the opponent in this nationally televised game, IMG Academy. Now, IMG Academy, just to give a little background, it was founded by Nick Bollettieri, who is a famous one of the top all Hall of Fame tennis coaches of all time. He coached the Williams sisters and Andre Agassi. And he started the academy as a tennis academy for the top players in the country. They would come into Bradenton, Florida. He was working with them. He was taking them professional. And then the sports agency IMG came in and partnered with him and eventually brought the academy, and they turned it into a prep academy where they have, their independent schools. Students come there. The focus is sports, but they get academics as well. Now it is owned by a Asian investment firm, and they control it. And so you saw schools like St. Francis here in Baltimore. Although St. Francis is a Catholic school, it's their sports program is kind of almost set up like an academy, like an IMG. They were bringing players from across the country to come play for St. Francis. And so we've talked about this in the past, especially the impact of AAU in sports and things like that. And so what did you think about that when we saw this monetizing of high school sports? This everyone wanting to be big dogs like IMG.
Yeah. So here in Baltimore, I mean, you mentioned St. Francis. Here in Baltimore, we really don't have other than Dunbar. Now, Dunbar has always
Right.
had that national recognition, and then they found a way to shut that down.
Mm-hmm.
Just remember when they were MSA, then they switched it to the MP. Just
Yeah,
and Dunbar couldn't
they
travel,
switched it,
but
and then they
so
came up with
far,
these
just
transfer rules
yeah,
where you couldn't.
man, it's
Yeah,
just
that was all to
so
stop
so
Dunbar
weird.
because at one point, I remember when I was in high school, when they had Reggie Williams and Muggsy Bogues, you had players from the Central Maryland were transferring to Dunbar. I mean,
Right.
you had a couple players leave from Howard County come there. You had a couple other players come from the Catholic League that was going in. So they came up with
Yeah.
these transfer rules to try to keep kids from jumping schools to go to
And
Dunbar.
they had a Nike sponsorship. They were traveling to
Yeah.
Hawaii for a tournament
Yeah,
every
I
year
remember
that they
that.
were
Pete Pompey
winning,
was the
and
coach.
it's just
Yeah.
so weird.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's just par for the course of what's going on nowadays. When you can find a way to make money off the backs of, and of course, in our situation, black players, black kids, they're gonna always do it. It's high school sports that they're monetizing now. On the other end of that, is there a benefit to the kids? Schooling. Now you got NIL deals in college. So, but you're making these kids professionals before they have to be professionals.
Mm-hmm.
When you're a young man, you're the most popular guy on campus. You're walking around with your chest out, all the girls. You don't notice any of that. So they're taking advantage of these children, man. And the prime example is Bishop Sycamore. This guy took advantage of these kids that wanted an opportunity, and it's so sad. If you're watching, watch some of these kids and their little testimonials. They're just like, all I
Yeah.
wanted to do was play football. Like I just wanted another opportunity. I don't have anything. Like these kids, you're just like your heart breaks for them. This guy sold them this
Definitely.
dream, and they still believed in him even when they saw it falling apart because they didn't have anything else. They didn't have anywhere else to go. I'm a big proponent of, if white people are doing it and making money, even if they get in trouble, I hope there's a black guy somewhere out there making money also, even if he gets in trouble. Like, just still make some money. In a situation where you're taking advantage of these young black kids, he has suffered very few repercussions for this. I hope something gets to him, man, because this is just it's awful, man.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest thing. One of the things that I saw too was that he was exploiting not only their bodies in the sense of, yeah, he's putting them in a dangerous situation. They didn't have trainers. They're playing this nationally televised game against a team that's basically got all D1 players on it. A couple people tore their ACLs in this game. One guy separated his shoulder. They didn't have any type of training staff. So he's not only exploiting their bodies so he can get this recognition, but he also was exploiting their desire to want to play college football. These guys were looking, and I think that's something, Calvin. It goes to this: everybody thinks they can get to the pros, and I think that's something that has really creeped into sports now. I, I hate to sound like the old guy. Hey, when I was growing up and we played sports, but several years ago, when I was younger, people played multiple sports. You didn't have a person focusing on one sport.
Right.
Now we have these training academies where you're going in, you're focusing, you're working with a trainer, you're working with an ex pro, and this person's getting you ready. I mean, those players, those guys did not have that, and they still, were able to get to D1 if it was for them. Some were able to make it to the pro. I mean, the percentages are so small of people who get those opportunities that now you just have this glut attitude, and I don't know if it's the parents, I don't know if it's people selling a pipe dream, but everybody thinks that my child can go pro. So I'm gonna put them in this situation, and some of these situations are just not good. I think that that's part of the burnout that we've talked about this in the past. I mean, that's why we seeing these kids, their bodies are broken up at 21, 22 by the time that they get to the league, because they've done so much stress on that body. I think they hate the sport by the time they get to the professionals.
Yeah, and the sport probably just isn't fun for them anymore. It's probably just a
Exactly.
business, a means for a living. And you're right.
Yeah, it's a business at 14,
When
15.
yeah, when we were growing up, you played football. When it got cold, that was time for football. When it got
Right.
warm, that was time for baseball,
Right.
and then basketball crept in there
Basketball all in
also.
there.
Like
Yeah.
but you played all three sports, and you had three-letter sports stars in high school.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yes.
and even when you look back at players like Jim Brown, he lettered in lacrosse.
Lacrosse.
You
Yes.
had guys lettering in
Mm-hmm.
track. You had football
Yeah.
and track kind of went hand in hand.
Exactly.
But you're
A
right.
lot of
You
guys
you don't
did
see
both.
that
Mm-hmm.
anymore. These sports are year
Nope.
round. Football is year round. There's spring
Yes. Now it
football.
is.
That yeah, and like you said, you work with specialists. You work with quarterback coaches. In the summer, they're
Mm-hmm.
going to these camps, and yeah, man, it's I know a young man that is on a track to be a professional baseball player, and that's basically what's going on with him now. Like he's being he's starting now, he's being pulled by a lot of these, not agents because he's too young to have an agent, but a lot of these teams and kind of agents, advisors, we'll just call them team
Mm-hmm.
advisors, that are trying to get him the summer to go to these different baseball camps and all. But he plays basketball also, and I think he really wants to continue to play basketball. But yeah, man, they come and they put their hooks in you, and but they promise the parents so much. It's wild, man. We
Yeah.
didn't have that. When you had a star in your high school of the team, he was just a regular dude. Like
Just a
y'all
regular
still after
guy.
school hung out.
Right.
You just knew football season he wasn't going to be around. But in the
Right.
summer, y'all still hung out. You know what I mean? Just
He
yeah,
played
man.
basketball. He was playing BNBL. He was doing, and
Exactly.
that's how it was. But now, yeah, you're right. It's just specialization now. That's all the kids do, and I think it's just really has brought this open the door for people to be exploited by people like this guy Roy Johnson. That's basically when
Yes.
these guys have this dream. That's why he's going to get these JUCO guys and all this stuff. These guys have a dream, and I can exploit that dream to help
But
propel me to what I want to do.
how does ESPN get a team? So the thing that gets me about ESPN, Bishop Sycamore had 0 wins. It would be different if they had some wins under their belt.
Right.
You had zero. Why would you even put them on national TV with 0 wins? Because they
Well,
say that they're good. There
yeah,
was no
because
proof that they were good.
they went to this
Johnson
guy
is
who was,
something, boy.
yeah, they went to this guy who was a scheduler, the guy who scheduled all the big games, and he just made it. He made up their schedule for him. He said Roy Johnson came to him and said, "Hey, we
Yeah,
want to
but they
play a
didn't
national
win.
schedule like
They didn't
IMG."
win nothing.
Well, after that IMG loss, because the crazy part was, and you see this in the documentary. All right, they opened the season against some national powerhouse Catholic school team. I forget where the team was from. They beat the snot out of them, 38-0, something like that. Well, before 2 days before the IMG game, they played another game against another team, and they lost that game too. So they actually played the IMG game on like a day rest or day and
It
a
was
half
like their third
rest.
game within
It
a
was
week
their
and a
third
half, two
game
weeks.
within a
Yeah.
week and a half.
Yeah, it's oh my god.
Well,
But
that leads
then
me to this. Let me ask you this. That leads me to this, and don't forget what you were going to say. Where were the parents? Where were the institutional controls? Because to me, that's
ex-
also a big problem. That's yes, Roy Johnson, he skirted the system. He knew how to go right up to the line and be in the gray. Like he said, he missed the gray. He knew how to go right up and live in the gray area. But you had these parents, they're standing there looking at it too, like, okay, where were the school systems? Where were the governing bodies? Where were these people? Where were the institutional controls?
and that's exactly what I was going to say. So you had
Okay,
the governing body that was like, hold on, it's
right.
something going on here, and trying to bring attention to it,
And ain't
but no
nobody
one wants
doing.
to listen. No
Nobody
one wants to
wants to
listen
listen.
until they get on national TV and
Now you want
embarrass
to listen.
themselves and
Right,
embarrass the state. And now all of a sudden, the governor wants to
right.
start saying things or getting on press conferences, or we need to look into this. This white boy was sitting back like, duh. I've
I've
been
been
telling
telling
you
y'all
all
for
this.
the last 2 years that Roy Johnson was a fraud, but nobody would listen
It's
to
a
me.
fraud. But what about the cameramen? The cameramen were like, yo,
Yes,
where's our money? But they still kept filming. They said they got $40 between them
Right.
for gas money. Like, sir, why didn't y'all be like, no, we're not, I'm not recording
Right.
this?
The
No.
mother had to be the trainer.
Now,
They said, where your trainers? The mother said, I'm the trainer. They said, no, you're not the trainer. You're supposed to have EMT here. You're supposed to have, where are your trainers?
I will say the one thing that I agree with Roy Johnson with, he said he went to the hotel and they told him, we'll give you all these rooms and you ain't got to pay for 3 months. He said, wait,
What?
I ain't got to pay y'all for 3 months? What would you do? I
Bro.
was that's the hotel
But my
fault.
thing is,
Because what hotel does that? I know
I
all the
don't know.
hotels I know, they want their money right then and there.
Right.
Like,
And the
you
thing
need to put a
was,
credit
though,
card down.
right. Can you hold? I just went on a conference for work and they still want the credit card. It was already paid for. I went to the conference and it was paid by the people at the conference. My company didn't even pay for it, but they wanted the credit card, the whole thing. Yeah, we just need it for incidentals. But Calvin, the crazy part is the kids were communicating with their parents the whole time, telling them about all these things, and none of the parents came contacted the state to say something's going on with Bishop Sycamore. Y'all need to check it out. Went and got their children. None of them did anything.
these these top programs have training facilities and nutritionists. These
Right.
boys were eating pizza and stealing from Walmart
Right.
to eat food.
They practicing in a parking lot, changing out of the back of some cars.
Of course, the kids are like, well, shit, this the shit. We ain't, you
Right.
know what I mean? We
We
ain't
ain't gotta
got
go to
no
school.
authority. We ain't got to do
Yeah.
nothing.
Right. But yeah, to me, it was just lack of
Man,
institutional controls all around. And Roy Johnson, I mean, he needs to be tarred and feathered. In my opinion, I
he
mean,
does. He does.
he took advantage of a population that was just very vulnerable,
A
and then
vulnerable
chasing his dream.
population that no one else cares about. And see,
Yes,
that's the
black
worst
youth,
part of it.
pretty much.
Black youth that don't show any signs of any potential.
Hmm.
No one cared about him. But how do you even get a guy that's 20 something years old that's already aged out still playing on the team? You
That
got
boy had gray hairs in his beard. His beard is gray. It was grayer than mine, Calvin.
Oh my gosh.
That boy had
So
that boy had an
wild.
AARP card in his wallet out there playing
So
against
wild.
teenagers.
Make
Yeah,
sure y'all
so
watch BS
yeah,
High.
watch BS High, y'all. I'm telling y'all, you gonna want to try to find where Roy Johnson is, but it's great documentary, really informative, and you would enjoy it.
It'll make you mad also. It'll
Oh
make
yeah,
you it'll break your heart for the kids, but it'll make you mad. It'll make you
definitely,
mad at him.
definitely.
Piss you off.
All right, so we're gonna close out with a segment that everyone loves in podcast land. Come on, yo! And so I'm gonna go ahead, man. I'll lead off today because at first my come on yo was going to be about Noah Lyles and him saying that this whole world champion thing, and I was going to get up on the soapbox, but the USA team wound up losing anyway, so maybe he's right. But something happened to me today, and come on yo, Garland Thomas. I play golf, y'all. I'm a golfer, and I've been golfing for several years, and I have a couple cousins that golf as well. Shout out to Eddie and Mike. And we always try to get together to play together and all. It's always a great time. And so my cousin Eddie, he lives in DC, Washington DC, and he had reserved some tee time for us to play at a historically black golf course called Langston Golf Course. It's in off of Benning Road, and so I'll going over there, and it's been hot here on the East Coast. Like we just came through a mini heat wave. Well, not many. It was like a long week of heat, and so finally just getting some relief. And so it rained last night, and figured that it was going to cool down today. And so we went over to the golf course, and I got there a little early, and so I was checking in, And normally, we drive a cart for the golf course. I've walked a golf course before. It's not pretty. I have walked 18 holes before. Trust me, my body hurt for 3 days afterwards, but I've done it. And it's not something I prefer to do. I like to golf and smoke a cigar, and I have some beer with me, and we're riding the cart around. It's just fun times. I got a nice Bluetooth speaker that I put up on the thing. Calvin, no, I didn't have the Bluetooth speaker with you, but I got a nice little Bluetooth speaker, and gives you the down and gives you the distance of your ball from the hole, and you play music through it. It's great. And so I got to Langston, and I check in, and I notice everybody's walking. I don't see any carts. And so I say, I go in and check, and I said, sir, where are the carts? Are we using carts today? He said, oh, no. He said, it rained last night, and there's a lot of water on the course, and we don't want to let people drive on the course. So we may not, we're going to make a decision in 15 minutes. And so I was like, oh, okay. So I called my cousin. I was like, hey, man, they talking about we got to walk because they're not going to let people, even on the cart path, because sometimes you go to some places to play golf and they let you drive on the cart path if it rains because the tires on the cart can mess up the grass. And so they make you stay on the cart path and you just walk to your ball from the cart path. That's pretty decent. And so the guy was like, okay, we'll see. And so when my cousin got there, I told him, and he was like, okay. And he checked again, and the guy was like, yeah, no carts today, no driving today. You got to walk. And so it was pretty warm today, right? It was like mid 80s, almost 90. Our tea time was like at 11:30, almost 12 o'clock. So, bro, first when we realized we are gonna walk, I should have bowed out then, but I didn't. I was like, yeah, I'm manned up. I've walked 18 before, but that time I walked to 18, it was in December. It was cold as heck, and it wasn't a heat wave. It was just humid outside. So at first, Calvin, when we started walking, we didn't even they had push carts. You put your bag in the push cart and you can push it. And at first they didn't have any extra push carts. So we were going to have to carry our bag. I was like, oh Lord, this ain't going to work. And then someone that just came in as we would get ready to go out on the course. So we got some push carts. So we go to the first hole. I hit good, bro. It was a par 5, and I got a par. I got a par on the hole, boy. I had a great drive. Got down there, got close to the hole. They went ahead and told me I didn't have to putt out. You go ahead and get a par. I'm like, yeah, boy, we walking. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna take my time walking, bro. By the time I got to the third hole, I was seeing blue stars, green clovers,
Tell
pink
me you didn't.
diamonds,
Tell me you ain't pass out.
bro. I felt like I was going to pass out. I mean, my heart's racing. I'm throwing water in my mouth. I'm throwing water on my head. I'm all wobbly. I'm like, oh God. So I told my cousin, it's like my brother. We're 4 days apart. So we were raised as brothers. I'm like, Ed, I don't think I'm gonna make it through this 18 holes, bro. I said, I might be able to do 9. Bro, we made it 2 more holes. One hole, I didn't even hit the ball. I just walked. my my other cousin Mike looked at me. He said, "Bro," because what happened was, all right, we did the 4th hole. I couldn't even see the ball at one point. Well, we were going to the 5th hole, and it was straight up a hill. And so, bro, by the time I got to the top of that hill, I took off my golf glove. I took the balls out my pocket, put them in the. I quit right there. I didn't even make it to 9. I wound up having to walk down to the next hole. I called the clubhouse and asked them to send somebody out with a cart to pick me up. So the old guy comes get me. He's like, "You ain't even make it to 9."
Fuck you, sir.
Right? That's what I wanted to say to him. He's like, "Dad, you ain't even make it to the 9th hole." So he driving with my push cart next to the driving cart, and I'm just sitting in there like, all done. He get back, man. It's some guy sitting on the bench. He's like, yeah, man, this guy ain't even making the 9 holes. They start laughing. He's like, you want me to drive you to your car? Because it looked like you about to pass out.
I hope
like,
you said
man,
yes.
I was like, sir, just leave me here. I had some water. I'm double shot in the water. I was like, just leave me here, sir. Just leave me. He's like, yeah, you ain't even make it to the 9. You ain't even make it to 9. I was like, I'm 56. It's unbelievably hot out here. We did not plan to walk. And yeah, so come on, Garland. If you gotta walk the course, Garland, no. Just tell everybody no, I can't walk the course. But I try to be man. I try to man up, and I try to walk 18 today, but only made it to 5. Really 4, because I didn't play 5 or 6.
In the word of Clay Davis, as soon as they would have said to me, no carts, shit.
Bro,
I would have gone to Dave and Buster's or Buffalo Wild Wings, whatever was close after that. I would fuck that. Hell, nigga, I'm not walking that. Y'all must be out your mind. Here, you trying to soldier up. Fuck
I
that.
did. And I was deceived because the first couple of holes, it was like all of it was flat. So I was like, oh, okay. Because I asked my cousin, I was like, hey, is most of this course flat? And he was like, I never played it. So I think so. I was like, oh, okay.
And I blame your cousin too, because if you'd have called me and been like, we not having any carts, and then you said if most of the court's flat, I'd have been like, why? Because I'm not playing. Nigga, we not playing. Fuck that. Yo, bro, I'll come and get you. Meet me here. Like, what is wrong with y'all?
We didn't know until we got there. So they was looking out for. They was like, Garland, look, all right, you good. Just call the clubhouse. Let them come get you.
And that's another thing.
And it wound up raining.
Why you wait so long?
Lightning. Yeah, because I was trying to man up. I really was.
When keeping it real goes wrong. Yeah. You trying to keep up with the Joneses.
I was trying to my fat ass.
First of all, some real quick medical advice, and this is for anyone that doesn't know. If you ever watch baseball players, remember baseball plays in extreme heat at times. If you ever watch baseball players in the clubhouse, they don't just have water. They have Gatorade, they have peanuts, they have sunflower seeds. All of that is because of the salt content. Salt helps you retain water and helps you not get dehydrated. So as soon as you found out you had to walk, you should have been shooting Gatorade, not just water. It's Gatorade. Yeah, you should have found you some peanuts, sunflower seeds, anything with salt in it. What?
I had 2 bottles of water and a bottle of Stella Artois.
Yeah, it's not enough. You
got it. I'm like, I'm gonna be sitting in the cart. I'm gonna have a cold one.
Yeah,
cigars on deck. I'm gonna have a cigar. Like I said, I'm ready. It's like a party on wheels for me. And
during the summer, always carry with you anything with some salt content in it. And if you know you're going to be out, Gatorade and water, because you never know when you got to walk. Also, leading up to it that week, eat some bananas, get some potassium in you so you don't catch leg cramps.
Yeah,
you got to
do it because, like I said, we didn't realize until we got there that they were not letting anyone drive.
Well, but you do the bananas anyway, just in case, because you know you're gonna have some sort of walking and it's real hot.
I figured I had enough water, and they got water out on the course. I figured I'd be good. But
now well, that's the medical advice. Now let me give you the nigga advice. Nigga, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, are you serious? Like, as soon as they said you trip it,
bro. Because trust me, just what you're saying right now, that was what the conversation that was going on in my head. It was like, bro, you are not in any condition to walk 18 holes.
You are a man of girth. Right. Men of girth don't walk 18 holes.
Well, bro, there was I think I saw some big dudes out there. They was walking. There was some old men behind us. They was walking too. And I got, like I said, I made it to the 4th hole. And after that 4th hole, I don't think I saw the ball anymore.
I'd have been sitting right in the clubhouse watching cheetahs, eating the free breakfast, waiting for lunch to come. I'd have sit right in the
so
clubhouse
yeah,
cooling.
so come on, yo. Yeah, that might be my last time walking a golf course.
Might be.
I told my wife,
See,
so
you
she looked
still
at me like Paula looked at me like that's your last time walking a golf
exactly. What do you mean? Might be, sir.
course. Yeah.
Anyway, let me get my come on yo real quick. I too was going to talk about Noah Lyles, and I wasn't going to defend the NBA. I was defending him because exactly like you said, he went out and talked. Y'all was talking all that. It is the best in the NBA and the best. Then y'all went out and lost, sir. He was right. But anyway, let me go on to something else. So I posted this on Facebook, and it is so true. Generally, with football season starting, the NFL starting, and our Ravens starting to play tomorrow, we're always usually just hyped about the Ravens, and we'll all put out the disclaimer that you won't catch me on Sundays, Mondays, Thursdays, and sometimes Saturdays. You're not going to catch me all season because I'm watching football. But we got a little bonus here in Baltimore. Our Orioles are going to the playoffs. And playoff games can be any of the 7 days. So just like my man Wyclef said, I'll be gone until November. You will not catch me. Hey, Orioles and Ravens, Baltimore, we up, y'all. We back. We back. Orioles and Ravens. Listen, the playoffs about to hit. We going to the Super Bowl and we going to the World Series. You know the little pictures they show with the two birds pounding each other. You're up next. Hey, Ravens, your turn to make some noise because the Orioles are out here doing their thing. Baseball playoffs, NFL Ravens. It don't get no better than this. Hey, talk to y'all in November after my Orioles win the World Series. I might not even talk to y'all then because I'm be acting real funny, especially if my Ravens are in first place and my Orioles. But you know what? Matter of fact, let me just put this out here now. Holla at me in February after my Ravens win the Super Bowl. Holla at me then. Holla at me there. So anybody that's feeling some type of way about my Orioles and my Ravens and about Baltimore, I would say, come on, yo. Fuck you, yo. We don't even care.
Yes.
Because it's all about Baltimore right now.
Bro.
Baltimore versus y'all horse.
I pretty much. And I didn't even tell you the story that one of the guys asked me because he saw my Ravens. I have a Ravens golf bag. He saw my bag. He's like, "You from Baltimore?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Man, I wouldn't go there. They shoot people in the head." And I'm like, "Yo, we in DC, where they shoot people all the time."
Exactly. And where he from? He from DC?
Yeah, he's from DC. And so he said, "Yeah, my daughter live up in Baltimore." I said, "Okay, where your daughter live?" He said, "Fed Hill." I'm like, "All right, yo, your daughter rich. What you talking about? The part of Baltimore your daughter lives in is one of the safest parts of Baltimore. What are you saying right now?"
The worst thing they worry about in Federal Hill is potholes.
Right.
And keeping the rest of Baltimore out of Fed Hill.
Right.
That's what they call it. They don't look like they belong here. Mm-hmm. They's not from around here. Come on, y'all.
We chased the poor whites and blacks out of here. There should not be any black people and white people.
He did not say he wouldn't come to Baltimore because they shoot people in the head, and he live in D.C.
He live in D.C. now.
Sir, we don't want you here anyway. Continue to have taxation without representation. Continue to be taxed without having a say in it. Go ahead, continue to do that.
Stay down there. Real quick.
Fuck you and your go-go.
Right. Let me say this real quick. Yeah, Mo. Let me say this real quick. All right, so we both lost the Thursday night game. We both picked the Chiefs. But again, quick picks for the games. We both took the Falcons over the Panthers. We split on the Bengals and Browns. Calvin takes the Browns. I'm taking the Bengals.
Okay.
You did take the Browns.
I thought I did.
We both take the Jags over the Colts, the Saints over the Titans. We split on Niners and Steelers. Calvin has Niners. I have Steelers. We both take the Commanders over the Cardinals. We split on Bears Packers. I have Packers. Calvin has Bears. We both take Raiders over Broncos, Eagles over Patriots. We split on Dolphins Chargers. Calvin has Dolphins. I have Chargers. We both take Seahawks over Rams. We split on Cowboys Giants. Calvin's taking the Cowboys. I'm taking the Giants. We take the Bills over the Jets, and we both take the home team Ravens over the Texans. All right.
Yeah, man. You know, Bosa Maga just signed his contract. You
No,
sure you
I'm
still want
still
the
staying with the
Steelers?
Steelers. Steelers at home opener. They playing
Hmm.
against a guy who had a horseshoe in his cleat last year,
Hmm.
Brock Purdy,
You would
and
take Kenny. You would
and
take
Mike
Kenny Pickett
Tomlin.
over Brock Purdy.
Yeah, and Mike Tomlin's still the head coach of the Steelers.
You taking
And
Mike Tomlin over Kyle Shanahan.
yes, in a home
Mm.
opener in Pittsburgh.
Mm.
Yes, yes.
What you have the advantage of is West Coast going East Coast, and that's always a challenge for a West Coast team. So at a 1 o'clock game, it's not
It's
even
a
no,
one
no,
o'clock
they're
game.
a 1 o'clock game.
Yeah,
They're
it's a
because
one
they're
o'clock
game of the
game.
week. They're the game of the
Yeah,
week. So
it's a
they're a
one
1 o'clock
o'clock
game. If
game,
it's a 4:30
and
game, I would definitely be looking at you side eye, but it's a 1 o'clock
and
game.
we're
So
talking about the Steelers at home. We're talking about
mm,
the Steelers at home.
I got the Steelers finishing under 500 this season. Remember I
Yeah, I
told
know
you.
you hating on them, and
Yeah,
the
just
Steelers
know. I
have
know.
a all-time season opening record of 46-36-5. They have won their last three home openers all on the road.
I don't. It's the quarterback I don't believe in. I don't believe in
You
Kenny
don't
Pickett.
believe in Pickett? I
I don't
know,
believe
and
in
he
Pickett.
came here and won a big game last year.
Huge game through
Mhm.
a damn screen pass to Najee Harris right over top of our boy Roquan
Roquan.
Smith. Ugh,
Mm-hmm.
right over
Yeah,
top of
right over
Roquan.
Roquan.
Anyway, hey, we appreciate you joining us all. And remember, this is
Thank you,
live on
everyone.
YouTube. You can catch it on YouTube and you can catch it on all the podcast platforms. I will try to get this up today so you can have it tomorrow before the
Yeah, we
games.
went
Because if
kind
I
of
don't
long,
do
but
it
it was
then,
good.
you're not going to get it until after the Ravens win tomorrow. You might not even get it till after all the games are over tomorrow if I wait till then. Also join us Monday because we are coming back
We're
with
back.
the Shy. They are
Craziness.
6 episodes in, so make sure that you catch up. Episodes are coming out on Friday now, so the last episode 6, just came out, and I watched it. It's actually a pretty good episode. I know
Okay,
Garland doesn't
I'm
think
gonna
any
watch
of
it.
the episodes any good, so make sure you watch it. But yeah, we appreciate you joining us. Make sure you tell your friends to join us. Definitely get into your fantasy football, get into
Mm-hmm.
all that NFL. About to win some money. I just lost on the parlay. I had the parlay with Colorado winning, Coco Golf winning, the Orioles winning, and Maryland winning. Why was Maryland down by 14 to Charlotte?
The game's
And
on right now.
why?
Oh,
Yeah, and I had the Mariners pulling out one against the Rays,
and they
and the
lost today.
Rays won. Orioles are up,
You
but
know
the
who the
Rays
head
won.
coach of Charlotte is, right?
No, who?
The head coach of Charlotte is the guy that started the St. Francis football team, B.I.G. No, he didn't start it. Actually, he brought his
The
staff from Gilman to St. Francis to be
yeah, the
head
big white
coaches.
boy.
The big
Yeah,
white
yeah,
guy
yeah,
who
yeah.
wanted to either work with Ed Reed to be the head coach of Morgan State, or it was
Okay,
either Ed Reed or Ray Lewis. But yeah,
I
B.I.G. is the
I
head coach
remember.
of
Okay, I didn't know that.
Charlotte.
Speaking of St. Francis, Mike Owens that plays St. Bernardine
Yes,
softball. He's the head baseball coach at St. Francis.
I
Did
didn't
you
know
know that?
that. I did not know
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I think he got the job last year.
Okay.
And I just got reminded because I seen a picture of him. So he's the head baseball coach there, which is
Oh,
crazy that I just saw a picture of him coaching because, of course, baseball season is over. I
right.
would have gone to check out some of his
Oh,
games. But
okay.
anyway, we definitely thank you for joining us. Make sure you
Definitely.
join us Monday for the Shy recap, and then join us every weekend for the podcast. Let me see if this outro is going to work this time because this stuff look at it. It's just
Boom. You
it's
have just
just
finished listening to Fanboys featuring Garland and Calvin. You can listen to it on all your podcast platforms.
yeah, something like that. Hey, later, y'all. We'll talk to
Later.
y'all another time.